Hey Naveen, what happened to
Yes.
the other girl? Did she drop out?
I guess she's busy with some other work. She's watching it offline.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
okay, because she's moving to US this month. So I guess she's
Oh,
busy with those works. So she came to
okay.
India. Yeah, I think she's here only. She'll be going back to US in April. Maybe she's
Okay.
stuck with some work. I
Okay.
got her message that she's busy with some other work. She'll be watching this offline.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering. I was like, what happened to her?
No, she'll be coming. She'll be coming back. Okay. Okay. Uh, Yeah, so we'll start with the topic, and today's topic is Hibernate. I hope you can see my screen there, and the topic is Hibernate. Now, what exactly Hibernate is? In fact, today I was trying to make a video of my face recording so that, this is one of the topic which I love most, I mean, this is one of the topic which you love to teach. There are some topics which are amazing to learn. There are some topics which are amazing to teach, right? So this is one of the topic which I love to teach. Okay, I mean, of course, this is something which is much easier to learn, but I love to teach this topic. So what I did is, I mean, I was trying to make a video, my face recording video, so that you can see my excitement while teaching this topic. So in my office, I was doing that. Hey, Bhavin, actually, your
Yeah,
mic is
hi.
on. Welcome, Bhavin, to the
Yeah,
batch.
yeah,
So everyone, this is
uh,
Bhavin. He's joined the batch only for Hibernate and Spring.
yeah, hi all. Uh, should I mute microphone?
Yes, Bhavin, that will be
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Thank you. So, and Bhavin, we have a very friendly batch here. Everyone is excited to be into this batch and being in the batch. They're excited. So welcome back. Okay, so I was talking about, yes, I was trying to make a video, but unfortunately, due to some lighting problem, I was not able to make a video which is my face recording. But I made a video using my pen and a chart paper. But that video is a 4K video, which is, it was approximately 3.3 GB. So it is taking so it is still uploading on YouTube. 91% done. So maybe 7 more minutes, and then I would recommend you to watch that video as well once you complete this session. Okay. Okay, so I'm uploading that video from last 1 hour. It's taking lots of time. Anyway, so let's come back to topic and let's talk about Hibernate now. Now, why on this earth, when you have all these technologies, I mean, we learned about CodeJava. I mean, if you know about CodeJava. We know about servlets, JSP. Why we need Hibernate now? In fact, we have also learned about JDBC. Now, what else in this world? I mean, we need Hibernate. The thing is, one of the amazing tools available in the software industry is something called as ORM tools. Okay, and ORM tools is something which everyone uses nowadays, and one of the tool of ORM is Hibernate. But why exactly we need ORM? So because if you can understand why we need ORM, you will understand the purpose behind Hibernate. So initially, let's talk about ORM. Now I have a question for you, Akhil. Akhil, what is the main? I mean, when you say software industry, what is our main job? I mean, as an IT professional, let's say once you complete your graduation or degree, you'll be calling yourself as IT professional, right? So, what do you mean by IT professional? When you say IT professional, what is our main job? Or example, let me give some hint here. Let's say if you're a doctor, let's say if you're a medical doctor, it is your job to treat patients, right? If you are a lawyer, it is your job to fight legal cases or legal all those legal things. If you are an IT professional, what is your main job?
So information exchange, I mean data transfer.
Exactly, right. So you have to work with data. You have to work with information. So when you say you're IT professional, your whole life you have to spend with information. Maybe by working with databases, maybe working with big data, maybe working with softwares. Even if you use Facebook, the reason why we all use Facebook, I mean, of course, right? Everyone has an account on Facebook here. The reason why we use Facebook is because Facebook provides information, not your information, but information about others. And here we go, Aida. You got your friend back. Shrutika is there online. Shrutika, Aida was missing you. She was
Oh,
feeling
hi.
alone,
How
the
are
only
you?
Shrutika.
girl here.
Hi.
Okay, yeah. So I was talking about yeah. So we have to deal with only information, right? So even if you are making softwares, yeah, I was talking about Facebook. So on Facebook we share data. Now, why Facebook is famous? Because it is human psychology, right? We don't. I mean, we are not concerned about what is happening in our life. We are concerned about what is happening in other people's life, because it's all about information. They share their information, and that's why we feel happy. Someone got married, we feel bad. In fact, we feel happy. And someone bought a new phone, we feel jealous. So we want to know about them. So it's all about information, right? So when you say everything is about information, even if you make a Java software, I mean, the purpose of learning Java is to make software. So that software will work with data, right? So ultimately, we are doing everything. We are learning all this technology to work with information or to work with data, right? So that means in Java, we create variables. So let's say you want to store data. So Akhil, what we use when we say you want to store data in Java, what we use to store data?
Variables,
Exactly. So we require variables. Now these variables can be of two types. It can be primitive variables, right?
objective.
Okay. And second would be reference variables. Example, when you say you are creating an object of a student, then that's your reference variable, right? Or you can say an object.
Yes.
Perfect. So when you say in Java, when you are saving data, that data is getting stored inside a primitive variable and a reference variable. The problem is, when you are working with the application, everything is getting stored in the software. But the moment you close your software, all the data vanishes, right? Let's say if you are going to a bank to deposit some money, let's say you want to deposit $5,000, and then you went to a bank to deposit that money. And once you deposit once you deposit, that money will be reflecting, so that amount will be reflected on the software, right? So in that software, there will be your name, let's say Navin Reddy, and the deposit is $5,000. Now let's say the day is over. What that person is doing is he's shutting down his computer. The moment you shut down the machine, all the applications will be closed, right? And when you say you're closing the applications, it also means that you are losing all the data. That means you have invested or you have deposited those $5,000. It's not yours now because the software is closed. They lost the data. How can you get your data back? How can you get your money back? That there is no guarantee, right? Will you open an account in a bank where they don't store your data? Of course not. No one will open the bank account there, right? So we have to make sure that when you are working with Java, you have to make sure you store your data somewhere. That means you need to persist your data. Okay, so we have to persist our data. Now, what exactly persist means? Persist means storing or saving data. Okay, we have two terms basically. We are using transient. Now, transient means we are not storing anything, and persist means we are storing the data. So by default, all the variables which we create in Java, they are transient variable, which means once the application is closed, you don't have your data, right? You will lose all your data. But when it comes to persistence or persist, the moment you say, hey, all my variables are persist, that means you have your data into database. That means to achieve persistency, we need to store our data into database. Now, what kind of database? So we can use database as files, right? So initially, people used to use files to store database. But the problem with files is they are not that comfortable to fetch data, to store data, right? So the best way to work with data is RDB. What is RDB, anyone? Anyone? What does RDB means? Abish will be very fast here. Come on, Abish. That's your
Relational
domain.
database.
Yeah, exactly. So this
Relational database.
perfect. So RDB stands for relational database. That means in relational database, you will be storing all your data in the rows and columns format, right? And there will be relationship between different tables, and all this table will belong to one database. So we can either use files to store data, or we can use RDB. Now, when it comes to file, in core Java, we have a concept called as serialization. So yeah, if you get time, just watch this video on serialization, how exactly we can store data inside a file. Again, this is a concept of core Java where you can store your data in the file using the concept of serialization. Okay, but when it comes to RDB, when you want to store your data inside RDB, we need to use a concept called as JDBC. Right? And in fact, we have seen this, right? How to work with JDBC. So when you have a data, let's say I have a variable which is int I, and the value of I is 6. I want to store this data 6 inside the database, and so we have to use JDBC, and so that we can store the data in your RDB. Right, everyone? Okay. So we need to take this variable, and then we can use JDBC, and we can use our database. Okay, but okay. So I need help from you, Aida. When you say you want to work with JDBC, how many steps we need?
I think 7 steps, right?
7 steps, perfect. And one of the step is import, then load, then connection, then statement, then
RS, what was that?
maybe execute.
Execute, yes.
Every
Result
process
set,
after that.
result set or fetching or
Yeah,
closing.
that is processing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then close, right? So these are 7 steps you have to follow. I mean, we don't have any problem following those 7 steps, right? Because in fact, those concepts are very easy. I'm sure JDBC is one of the easiest concepts, right, to work with. Okay, so when you use JDBC, we use these 7 steps. The problem is not this. The problem is, I mean, we can implement these 7 steps. The problem is, let's say I'm using a student object, and a student object is student s equal to new student. And in the student object, so we also have a class here. Let's say, let me just remove these steps here. Okay, so we have a class called as student, and class have some variables. Let's say int roll number. Then we have what else we can have? We can have string name, and then let's say we have int marks. I don't know why I like this class student. Every example, I'm taking the same example. Anyway, so we have a student class here. Okay, in this we have these 3 variables, and of course we can have different values to this. Example, let's say my roll number is 1, name is Naveen, and marks is 50. Now in this scenario, if you want to store this student object into database, okay, how do we do that? Let me just ask this question to you, Abish. I want to store that student object into database now.
So we have to store the roll number, name, and marks.
Individually, right?
Yes.
Okay, that means what you're trying to say is we have to create the connection. We have to create a statement, and when you're creating the statement, you have to mention the query, which is insert into student, then values, and then those 3 question marks, and then change the values of the question mark with roll number, name, and marks, and then execute, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, that means you have to follow all these steps so that you can store your student in the database. And that is very clumsy, right? What if I say, instead of writing all those steps, we can simply say save, and if you can pass the object, how beautiful is that? You don't have to do any of this stuff. You will be happy to do that, Abhish?
Yes.
Instead of those isolating those 3 variables, instead of writing the SQL query. In fact, there are people, they don't like SQL queries. Okay, don't judge me now. But there are people who don't like SQL. Anyone here who's not comfortable with SQL? Okay, I love SQL because I have taken some sessions on SQL as well. Okay, so Sandeep is here. Sandeep don't like SQL. I mean, I'm not saying that people don't like SQL. It's just that people don't feel that comfortable when it comes to SQL. So given a choice, if you give me a choice, you have to build an application, and then you don't have to write SQL queries. You'll be very happy, right? In fact, especially in US, okay, I cannot target areas now. There are certain places in the world. I cannot mention the names, but there are certain places in the world where people start learning programming, okay, directly. Let's say they are from different domain, not exactly from IT background. So they have done their graduation from something else, and then they thought, okay, let's get into IT because that is something I love. Maybe that's one of the reasons they love IT. That's why they came to IT. Maybe they think there's lots of money in IT. That's why they came to IT. But let's say that if you want to be a software developer and you are coming from a different background, so it may be a chance that it may be it is possible that you have learned C programming, C++, and Java, and now you are calling yourself as a Java programmer. The problem is, since you have learned only 3 languages with of course SDLC or software development lifecycle, you are making a project and your boss says, hey, you have to also make a database now. But that person is not comfortable with SQL, right? Because they have not seen SQL. So there are multiple problems here. The first problem is, I don't want to do all those breaking stuff of S and then storing it. The second problem is, I don't know SQL. Okay. So to achieve this feature, which is you can directly say save, we can use a concept of ORM. So ORM stands for object. Okay, let's just write it here. It stands for object relational mapping. Now what it means, we have to map an object with tables. Okay. Now we are living in 2 different worlds, right? We have Java world and we have database world. Now when it comes to Java world, we all talk about objects, right? The main motto behind Java is objects, right? And in objects we have those OOPS concept. So Rajesh, what are the OOPS concept we have in objects, in object-oriented programming?
Encapsulation, polymorphism,
Polymorphism,
abstraction,
okay. Inheritance,
yes.
perfect. Just be there, Rajesh, because I'll be coming back to you. I need help from you, Abhish. Sorry for troubling you a lot, Abhish, today, because this is your domain, right? So I have to target you. Okay. So when it comes to tables, what are the core concepts we have to follow?
There should be columns, rows, indexes.
Okay, there should be columns, rows, indexes.
Uh,
Indexes means it should be having unique values, right? That's what you're saying?
Unique values, correct.
Perfect. Okay, what else? What other terms we use there?
We store string in string. We store integer in integer.
Okay,
So
that's something new.
No.
Okay.
If a column is character, then for example, in numbers are stored in numbers. So like that.
Okay. And we also have this concept of primary key and foreign key, right?
Yes. If a table has a primary key, and if there are child tables, then they get the foreign keys, which links to the primary table. So, for example, a student table, and if a student address is there, that would be address key that links the student table to the address table. Yeah.
Perfect. So we have parent key and child key, all those. I mean, sorry, primary key and foreign key concepts. Perfect. Now, what is my concern here is we are trying to connect to these two different worlds, right? When you are trying to connect Java world and database world. So the concept which is mentioned by Rajesh and the concept which is mentioned by Abhish, can you relate those two concepts? I can't, because one on the one side we are talking about inheritance, we are talking about encapsulation, we are talking about objects, classes. On the other hand, we are talking about tables, we are talking about what? We're talking about
Refresher integrity.
yes, right? We are talking about all the stuff. So what do you think? I mean, can we relate these two things in any way?
They're different, right? One is like database, and the other one is, I guess, coding.
Exactly.
So
That's what I'm trying to say. They are two different stuff, right? How can you connect those two different things? Because that is the concept of ORM. We have to connect it. So that's the challenging part. They are two different stuff. I mean, totally different. One deals with tables, one deals with objects, and by somehow we have to connect those two things. Because if you can connect them, this is something which will, I mean, the Hibernate is something which will be very easy for you. So yes, you're trying to say something, or Rajesh, you're trying to say?
Nothing.
Okay. So let's go in this way now. How can you connect these two things? Let me try. Let me just remove all this stuff, or let me just go down.
The referential integrity is like inheritance.
Okay. Referential integrity is like inheritance. Okay. I don't know. Now I'm feeling that I'm very bad with databases.
no, I don't think so. I mean, integrity is like just like making sure, I guess, your data is. But inheritance is different. I don't think they are the same.
Refresher integrity means that if a child table has a key, then the the parent table should have it.
Okay.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay.
Mm.
These people are using very technical terms now in databases. It's my time to learn DBMS again. Anyway, so
No, there is a foreign key violation. There's a primary key violation.
yeah, I got the point. That's why we have this cascading rules, right? Cascading. Then we have I forgot some rules. When you create tables, you have to follow those rules. Anyway.
Yeah. Otherwise, you will not be able to load the data. It will throw errors here.
Yeah, perfect. Got the point. So yeah, so you're almost there, but when you say you have two tables, one has a primary key, one has a foreign key, is that inheritance? Okay, we'll see that later. We'll see that. I mean, that's a kind of inheritance, but not the inheritance which we are talking about. Okay, let me just try to picturize this thing. Now, for sure, when you talk about a class, why we create class? So that we can create objects, right? Let me create this object here. We'll say student S1 equals to all the variables. Basically, we are setting the values to S1. Let's say we are creating one more object. Let's say object 2, student 2. Okay, so this is student 2, and let's say I'm setting all the values for student 2 as well. So I have one object, one class, and two objects. Now let's picturize this thing in tables. When you say table, I have a student table here. That's my student table. I have roll number as a column, and then name as a column. And in this, I have the first roll number as 1. The name is Naveen. Or before that, before going for the data, or even if I go for data, let me just write data somewhere here. And let's say marks is 80. And then we got 2. Let's say this is Shrutika. Let's say marks 95. Okay, so so now tell me one thing. if I only think about this class, I have question. This question is for everyone. Okay, you can use your chat window or you can use your voice to answer this question. Tell me the size of this class inside heap memory. What is the size of this class inside heap memory?
It's random, like how much memory is used by class.
Okay, that's okay. So you're saying random, depend upon the
Yeah, depend
memory.
upon the numbers.
Is it
Nothing is
number of
fixed.
characters?
8, I think,
Not
sir.
not number of characters, but it depends how much space is required. That much space
Okay.
is created in heap memory.
Okay, that means you're saying depend upon the object. You're saying.
Yes.
Okay, that's your point. And Rajesh is saying 12 bytes. Akhil is saying 8 bytes. Okay, it is not defined. Let me repeat my question, and trust me, this is a tricky question. How much size this class will take inside heap memory? Okay. Let me give the answer. The answer is 0. Class never takes memory inside heap memory. Okay, my bad. Yeah, so class never takes memory inside heap, okay? What takes memory inside heap is the object. Okay, class never takes the memory, it is objects. So if I create the first object, it will take memory inside heap. If I create the second object, now again it will take the memory inside heap. So in total, so this S1 will take 8 bytes for 2 int variables. So for roll number and marks, it will take 8. Depend upon the value for name, if I set a value for name as Naveen, for each character it will take 2 bytes. That means Naveen will have 5 bytes. Oh, sorry, not 5 bytes, 10 bytes. So 10 bytes plus 8, it is 18 bytes. Making sense, everyone, what I'm trying to say here? Okay, perfect. So
Say that again.
okay, so class never takes memory inside heap. It is your objects S1 and S2 will take the memory inside heap memory, or will take a memory inside heap. Now, how much memory it takes depend upon the values. For int, the size is fixed, which is 4 bytes, right? So this 4 plus this 4, 8 bytes. But let's say if I set the value for S1 as Naveen, so this name will have 5 characters, and each character takes 2 bytes. So 5 into 2 is 10. Okay, so 10 bytes for string and then 8 bytes for the int variable. So total is 18 bytes. For S2, let's see, values is to Shrutika and the value. So again, this will be, Shrutika has 6 characters, which is 12. So 12 plus 8 is 20 bytes. Okay, Akhil? And again, the number okay, for me that size is not that size is not the concern. The concern is what will take the memory. Is it your student object, or is it your class or the object? So class never takes the memory, it is always object which take the memory. Now with this, I have a next question for everyone. How much space this class this table takes? Okay, let's imagine in this table we don't have any data, we just have a table structure. What is the size of this table? Exactly. This will take 0 size. Okay, because table never takes a size. What consumes the memory is your data. So the more data you have, the more your table memory would be, right? Okay. There's one more thing. It will. I mean, of course, the structure will take some memory in the database, but the major portion is depend upon the rows. Okay. So if you have 2 rows, it will be, or you can say tuples. That's what you say in databases, right? So the more tuples you have, the larger your object or the database would be. Right, everyone? Got the point? Okay. So that means now we can connect, right? Example, this class somewhere connects with the table structure. You can see we have a class name. Here we have a table name. Here we have a roll number int variable. Here we have a roll number as a column. We have name as a field. We have name as a column. We have marks as a field. We have a marks as a column. Here we have object. Here we have a row. Here we have a second object. Here we have a second row. So can we relate this now? A class structure is your table structure. Your objects are your rows. Can you relate it now? So that means we are trying to create a relationship between objects and tables. And that mapping is called as ORM. So ORM is a concept where you can relate your where you can relate your class structure with the table structure, and that can be done with the help of ORM tools. Now there are lots of tools available here. We have Hibernate, we have iBetis, then we have TopLink. What else we have? Maybe we do have some other, but one of the topmost version or the topmost thing is Hibernate. So one of the best ORM tool is Hibernate. Now the advantage is if you learn Hibernate, it is very easy to learn iBetis and TopLink. If you learn TopLink, it is very easy to learn Hibernate and iBetis. So it doesn't matter what you use in industry when you join, when you work on a Java project. What matters is you should know the concept of ORM. Okay, everyone? Okay. Now to implement ORM, Sun Microsystem came with a concept of JPA. JPA stands for Java Persistence API. So JPA stands for Java Persistence API, which simply means if you want to work with ORM, JPA will help you. But JPA was just a standard. Okay, it was not a perfect tool. It was just a standard. You need some implementation of JPA. So one of the implementation of JPA is Hibernate. So basically, when we are working with ORM with Hibernate, you're also using JPA. Okay. So any question to this point, anyone? Any questions? Okay, perfect. And Bhavin, since you are new, so you can ask question anytime. So I don't wait for the perfect time. Whenever you have a question, you can shoot it out. Okay. So now once we know the basics here, so we have Hibernate, we have, okay. So whenever you want to use classes, and when you want to store the data, so the amazing thing is if you can use now, and if you store the data into database, we can simply use save, and we can pass S1. Because if you say save S1, the data will be stored inside database. It is that simple. Okay. So all set to see the practical implementation for this. Okay, so let's start with it. Let me open my Eclipse. Let me share the window with you, the Eclipse window. Okay, so Okay, so what we'll do is to create a Hibernate project. Again, we'll not be going for the web application. In fact, the planning we have done with the first half, right? So this course is divided into 3 parts. One is Servlet JSP, which is done. The next part is Hibernate, and the third part is Spring. Again, Spring is very big. So if you can see the timing for Hibernate, it is some hours, and Spring is some hours. What we are going to do is we will be learning all the concept of Hibernate. Okay. Now once we are done with the Hibernate, we'll be going for Spring, and we will be doing the integration of Hibernate and Spring, because normally when you make applications, you don't use only Hibernate, you don't use only Spring. So we should also know the integration of it. How can we work with Hibernate and Spring together? Okay. So basically, to teach you Hibernate, I'll be using console application, not web application, a basic console application, so that you'll understand how Hibernate works, the basics of Hibernate. I don't want to confuse you with Servlet and Hibernate combination, but once we start with Spring, we'll try to connect Spring and Hibernate both. Okay. So let me start with Hibernate here. Now, how do we get a project? So since we are using a framework, of course we have to use something called as dependencies, right? Now, when it comes to dependency, what it means, you have to download some jar files and you have to add those jar files in your project. But we have someone who will rescue us from this. Who is that guy? Exactly. So we can use Maven here. Now, how do we use Maven? So I click here. Okay, you cannot see that, right? Okay, I should share my entire screen now. Okay. Okay, so I'm creating a new project here. Okay, and the project which I'm going to select is Maven project. We'll click on next. Okay, nothing here. We can click on next. Now there are 2 ways of doing this. The one way is you can select Maven archetype quick start project. Okay, so in this project, if you select this, it will give you the basic structure for the Koja application, and then you can add the Hibernate configuration files, you can add the Hibernate dependencies, but everything has to be done by you. Because see, when you work with Hibernate, for sure, we need to do some extra configuration, right? So you have to do that everything by yourself. Or what you can do is you can select all catalogs in this catalog section, and you can see something is getting searched here. I don't know if you can see that. So it is saying that retrieving archetypes, and it has all. It's an open shop now which has all the archetypes. I don't want all. I just want the archetype which is matching with Hibernate. And you know, Maven is so smart; it will give you that particular archetype. If you select Hibernate archetype here, it will give you a project which is configured with Hibernate pre-hand or ready-made Hibernate project. You can also select Spring MVC integrated project, which we'll be doing later. Okay, which is this one. Okay, but since we are beginners, I will not be doing this. I'll be selecting internal, and from this, not Hibernate, but we'll be going for a quick start project. We'll click on next, and here I will mention the project name as Hibo Demo, my favorite name, and we'll click on finish. Now, once you click on finish, you can see we got a project here which is Hibo Demo project. Now, the first thing we have to check for the Maven dependencies, we have only one. What I want is, okay, since we have done with the project, okay. Okay, just give me a sec. Let me just share again Eclipse. Let me do some settings here because my mail and everything is opened here. If I by mistake, if I click on that, all my privacy will be Okay. You know, it is so risky to take online sessions like this. You have to make sure that all your applications, all your browser tabs are closed. Okay, done. Okay, done with that thing. Okay, so what we'll do now is we need to add the dependencies for Hibernate. Okay, now if you don't use Maven project, what you have to do is you have to go to Google, you have to download approximately 6 to 7 jar files. Okay, and maybe those jar files are interdependent, so there are some version problem. Let's say if you download the jar file for one jar file which has a version number X, and if you're downloading the other jar file with like version number Y, again they will conflict. That's why Maven is so powerful. So I will go to this pom.xml file, and in this I will go to pom.xml file. Okay, you can see we don't have the Hibernate dependency here. Now how to add that dependency? I will go to my Chrome, and I will go to Maven repository or Maven the repository. I want to search for Hibernate, and that's the repository org.hibernate. Now it has lots of versions. The current version which is there, so I have to select code Hibernate ORM. So you can see that ORM functionality. So current version is 5.2.5, which is just released. In this course, we are going to talk about 4.2, which is something which I'm comfortable with. You know, it's not that I mean, the difference is not much. Every release will have something new, some stuff. If you know one release, you can learn it other one very easily. Okay, so this was released last year. So let's go for 4.2.25. That's not stable, I guess. Let me just go with the stable version of this. Okay, which one I should select? Okay, now that's tricky. Which one to go for? Okay, I will go for this one. I love maximum number of heads. I'll click on this, copied, and you have to go to your Maven and say paste. You can see in this dependency, it will add all the required dependencies. So it is getting downloaded from the Maven repository. It will take some time. You can see there's a big file size.
Naveen, I have a question.
Yes, go on.
How do you determine which version to pick? Is it like how do you figure that?
Okay, I check number of users. You can see this is the number of users we have.
Okay.
So number of projects which are built using this. So if you go for 103 projects, so for sure this version doesn't have any problem. It just gives you an assurity, and that's my way of doing it. There are some people they only go for the versions which is there in the project, existing project, or in the last project. That's how they go. But I go with this number of usage. Okay. And so just like taking some time to download. Maybe my internet is working very slow today. And finally, that video is uploaded on YouTube. Okay, I will share the link. Okay. Oh, why is taking so much time here? Okay, so by the time it is completing its download, done. Finally, you can see. So if you don't use Maven, this is the number of jar files you have to download. Okay, and no one wants to do that, right? And all these dependencies, all these versions are interdependent. That means somewhere maybe you're working with this common annotation 4.0.4. It only works with 4.3.1. Maybe that is the issue. So you have to make sure that you use Maven for all this stuff. Now, once we have done with the Maven, let's see how to work with our source code. So what I will do now is I will create a Java code, a simple Java code. Okay, and I will say new class, because I want to do persistence, right? So I will use again the same thing, which is student. And in this student class, I want to use 3 variables. I will use private int roll number, then private string name, and then private int. And then we have to create, we'll be creating getters and setters for that. So right click here. We'll say source, where source, and we'll say getter and setter. We'll select all these 3 variables because I want getter setter for all these 3 variables. Click on OK, and you got your getters and setters here. Now, once you got this class, I will go back to my app. Now, what I want here is I want to create object of student. So I will simply create object of student. I will say student s equal to new student. I want to add. I want to set the values. I will say s dot set name. I will say this is Naveen. I will say roll number. I will say this is 1, and I will say set dot marks. Let's say this is 80. Okay, that's my object here. Okay. Okay, let's make one change because I was doing some experiment here, and that's why I've already created this table here. Let me just drop that table. Drop table student, because otherwise it will give us some problem. Okay, done. Okay, so we got this student class here. Okay, now what next? I want to save this object. I want to save this object S in the database. Now, again, if you do that, we have to make sure that we are also using. We have to use JDBC. We have to follow the 7 steps. We have to isolate the values of S, and then we have to write SQL queries. Instead of doing all those stuff, what we'll do is we'll simply say save, and in this save, if you can pass S, our job is done. In this save, if you pass S, our job is done, right? Because you have a student object, you are saving that value inside a database, our job is done. But hold on, it's not working. Now, why it's not working? Because this save method belongs to an interface called as session. To use save, we have to make sure that we are also using, we have to create a session object. Let's do that. Now, this session belongs to a package called as this is org.hibernate. Click on OK. It says session equal to. Now, if I click on session, I don't have the source code, which is getting downloaded now. You can see that which is downloading from the Maven repository. Come on, give me the documentation, buddy. Okay, just taking lots of time. Okay, so what we'll do is, for sure, we cannot create object of session because it's an interface. Now, how do we create an object? Now, to create the object of session, we need to create object of session factory. Okay, so session factory is another interface. Okay, so you have to create object of this. Now, how do we do that? Okay, did I got the documentation yet? It is still downloading the source code. Okay, ignore that. It is taking lots of time. But anyway, you can see it says it's an interface. Okay, so session is an interface. And if I go to session factory, it says the same thing. This is also an interface or interface. Now, how do we get object of session factory? Let's do that. So to create object of session factory, we need to create object of configuration. Okay, again. Okay, so by looking at this, you will say JDBC watch much more easier, right? So to use the save method, we need to create object of session. To create object of session, we need object of session factory. To create object of session factory, we need configuration. Initially, you will think this doesn't looks good, but once the code is done, you will love this. Okay, you will understand the true power of Hibernate. So let's say configuration, and I will say C or maybe some config equal to. We'll say new configuration. Okay. Now, once we got the object of configuration, again, you have to make sure that this configuration class belongs to org.hibernate.cfg. Now, once we got this object, we can say config dot. So the method name is build session factory. Now, once we got that, so the method name is build session factory, which will give you the object of session factory. So we got our documentation. If I go here, you can say this is session, which is an interface, and session factory is also an interface. And configuration is the class which has a method which is build session factory. Okay. Now, once we got this object here, which is build session factory, we can say sf dot. So we have to say open session. Let me repeat. Okay. So in 4.3 version, build session factory is deprecated. Okay. I think I should be sticking with 4.2. That's the last version which I'm used. I just hope we have dependencies available for that. Let me see the dependency which I have to use here. Okay, so let me use 1.6. Okay, so have we got the dependencies here? Let me check. Okay, I got 1.6. Perfect. So let me go back to my app, and you can see that deprecated thing is still there. That's weird. Okay, so let's ignore that for time being. Let's see in the next session how to solve this. But this is deprecated. What it deprecated means is, with every new version, they come up with some new features, and so with that new feature, what we do is we deprecate the old methods, which means that it's not that we should not use those methods. It's just that try to use the new methods. Okay, we'll see that in next session how to solve this. But time being, we will be getting the output. We'll say session dot save. So when you say session dot save, this will store your object, and it's that simple. Now, how many of you think this code will work? So Ada says this will work.
So we are not mapping anywhere in the code, right?
What mapping? I mean the database. I mean the table with object. That mapping you're talking about?
Yes.
No, we are not doing that. So we should do that, right? That's what you're saying.
Because how this object, student object, goes into database.
Okay. I mean that is the concern of Hibernate. We don't have to think about that.
But don't we need to connect the database somewhere?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the problem here. Where is the database connections? Where are the dependencies? Right, Rajesh? We have not added the dependencies for MySQL. As Abhish is mentioning, we have not created the connection between your database and, okay, hold on. Yeah, so we have not created any connection between your database and your application, right? There should be something, because see, if you're doing this, nowhere we are mentioning that we are working with MySQL. Nowhere we are mentioning that we are working with Mario database. So this is an example, right? This is not Rajnikant to understand everything by himself. Okay, again, either I'm using that name. So either Rajnikant is Indian actor. Okay. Okay. So yes, Bhavin, you're right. So we have to provide a Hibernate configuration file. So we have to provide the configuration. Hey, Bhavin, you are already done with the Hibernate things? Or this is just a wild guess? Oh, perfect. No issue. So now we have to use a Hibernate configuration file, right? Where you can provide the configuration, as Bhavin is mentioning here. Now, how do we provide that configuration? Step one, we have to right-click here, and then we have to say others, and then you have to select Hibernate configuration file. Okay, if you're not doing this, if you're simply saying XML file, and so the file name you have to you have to mention is hibernate.cfg.xml. So instead of creating XML, you can simply select this, click on next. You can see it will ask you for the file name. Don't change the file name. This is the file name which is Hibernate is asking for you. So simply specify hibernate.cfg.xml. Click on next. Now it will ask you for certain steps. Okay. It will ask you for the connection name. I don't want to provide any connection name here. Next, it will ask you for the dialect. Now, what exactly dialect is? You can say it is giving you all the different DBMS option. You can start with DB2, Firebird, Frontbase, Derby, H2, HSQL, Informex, Ngrace, blah 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 blah. We'll select MySQL. Okay. Now, why this dialect is important? Every database will have, or every DBMS will have a different way of working with data. I mean, okay, let's go in this way. In MySQL, if you want to represent a number, we use integer. In Oracle, we use number. In MySQL, we have varchar. In Oracle, we have varchar2. In MySQL, we don't have a check constraint. In Oracle, we do have a check constraint. So there is a difference between MySQL database and Oracle database. So this dialect will make sure that it will do that changes for you. Next, you have to mention your driver class. I will mention com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Since I'm doing this configuration after a long time. Okay, just giving me 4.3. Okay, doesn't matter. So since I'm doing this configuration after some projects, that's why I'm getting this option by default. You may not get this option by default, so you have to type com.mysql.jdbc.driver. As your DBMS changes, this will change. This driver name will change. The next thing you have to mention is the connection URL. Okay. In the connection URL, you have to mention all those things which you mention normally. So you have to say jdbc:/mysql: localhost: 3307, which is for my port number, and then database name is Mario. Next, I will specify the username, which is root for me. I don't have a password for my machine. That's it. Click on finish, and we got our, if you can click on the source code, we got our thing here. Okay. I guess that's it. That's what we wanted. So we got this configuration, and we are good to go now. Now, how many of you think it will work? Okay, Abhish says it will work. Okay, so Bhavin is saying that we need to create a table in database. Okay, but what happens if I don't have a data? We don't have a table in database. Let's see. Let's run this code and let's see what happens. If I click on this run button and if I click on Java application, okay, and we got errors. It says connection cannot be null when the Hibernate dialog's not set. That's weird. Dialect is set. Connection, where's the connection is null here? The problem is this configuration says I'm not doing any configuration here. We have to say configuration.configure, then only it will configure. This is like a lazy person. If I run this code now, is it doing the configuration? Oh, we got some more errors now. It says specified JDBC driver com.mysql.jdbc driver cannot class not found. That means after doing this configure method, it is taking, after doing configuration method, this configure method, it is doing this configuration, but it's not able to find this thing. And someone has mentioned that earlier we have to add a dependency, right, of MySQL. Let's go to pom.xml file and let's see how can we do that. Okay, let's go to pom. And here we have to add the dependency. Okay, I want MySQL connector, buddy, MySQL connector. Again, I'll be going for the most used dependency. I'll be going for this one, 5.8.38. Copied and pasted. Now it will take some time to download, and it's done. So let me go back to app, run, and yay! Oh, we got an error. It says unknown entity com.telusko.hiberdemo.student. The problem is when you say S, it's not able to find that entity. Because see, when you talk about database world, we talk about database as, the tables in database as entities, right? In fact, we have a concept of entity relationship diagrams. When you work with databases, we work with entities as well. Right, Abhish?
Yes, ER diagrams.
Okay, ER diagrams. So we have to make sure that we are converting the student from a normal POJO, because by default now it is a POJO. And what does POJO stands for? POJO.
Plain old Java object.
Okay, I can see some smile there, Akhil. So plain old Java object. So this student is simply a POJO now. We have to convert that POJO into a entity using AJO. I know this. How many of you are hearing this term for the first time? The POJO and AJO. How do you pronounce? AJO, AJO? Okay, which one? Both POJO? How many of you know? How many of you don't know POJO? What is POJO? Or this is the first time you are saying POJO? Okay, AJO is the new thing, right? Okay, nothing to worry. AJO stands for annotated Java class. Example, data servlet and you say at web servlet, that is your AJOs. So whenever you use annotation configuration, instead of going for XML configuration, when you go for annotation configuration, we normally say we are working with AJOs. I don't prefer to use those terms anyway, but we have AJOs. Okay? Everyone got the point? Now, how do you mention that this student is actually a, a, a class who is responsible, I mean, a class whose object will be stored inside a database? So we can do that, we can specify that by mentioning a annotation called as @entity. And this @entity belongs to the package called as java x.persistence. Now this is something new, because when you work with this classes or this interfaces, all belongs to Hibernate. But when it comes to the entity, it belongs to java x.persistence. That means we are using both JPA and Hibernate combined. Okay, everyone? And I think we are good to go. Let's run this once again. And oh, again we got an error. It says unknown entity again. Hey, I'm mentioning entity there. Why it is not detecting it? The problem is, when you say configure, you have to also mention which class you're working with. So you can do that by saying add annotated class, and you can mention your class name. So I'm working with student.class. So that it will know that when you say save, that class is allowed for your code to save it. Let's run this. Oh, again we got an error. Okay, that's weird. Now the error is, it says no identifier specified for entity. What is identifier now? The thing is, when you say identifier, it's simply, okay. Okay, so when you say identifier, it simply means that as Abhish mentioned, that whenever you work with tables, you have to mention something called as index or indexes, which is the unique values. Every table should have a unique key, right? Or maybe a primary key, so that you can differentiate between different rows. The same thing you have to do here. So we have to mention that this roll number is a unique element. Now, how do we do that? By using an annotation called as @id. So when you say @id, now this roll number becomes a primary key. Okay, and trust me, Hibernate is all about annotation. In fact, from today till spring, everything is about annotation. Okay, now let's try to run this and run, and we got, okay, no error. Finally, you see that, no errors. Yay! Now let's verify we got that in database. Let me say Mario run, just remove that, and let's say show tables. And if I run this code, oh, we got only one table. That means we have not got the table here. Now, that is something which is bad. The problem is we have not created the table, right? Now how we have to do that? But I'm lazy. I don't want to get a table. So what I will do is I will ask Hibernate to do that for you. So we can set one more property here called as HBM to DDL, which is Hibernate mapping. HBM stands for Hibernate mapping, and DDL stands for data definition language. Auto, I mean, by default it should create. So if you don't have a table, or you can also say updates, if you don't have a table, it will create a table for you. Let's try. Run this once again, and no error. You can see schema update complete. This is the first time we're getting that. So you can also see it is saying table not found, student schema updated. So it is not it has not found a table, so it is creating a table for you. Let's verify. If I say show tables now, you can see we got two tables. We also got student now. Let's see, do we have data here? Select star from student, run. Oh, we got the table, but not the data. Now, why it is not getting that? It's because all DBMS says is we want to support asset properties. And when you say asset properties, what it means? Yes, our database administrator, Abhish,
What is the question?
what is asset property?
Asset property, I don't know.
You don't know? Come on, yeah.
Asset property?
ACID, acid.
ASCII.
No, ACID, acid. Am I pronouncing it wrong? Okay. ACID. Not heard about that. Maybe only Indian books mention that. Okay. So ACID stands for atomicity,
Acronym stands for atomicity.
consistency, integrity, and what was D? Durability? Is that?
It's isolation and
Exactly.
durability.
Isolation and integrity. Okay, both. Okay, this is asset property. So every database has to follow this concept of asset properties. And the best way to achieve this is by using something called as transactions. Right? So let's say in one transaction, if you have multiple statements to be executed, and if anything goes wrong in one statement, we should be getting rollback. I just hope everyone is everyone knows about this concept, right? Of transaction where you commit, where you roll back. This is DBMS concepts. Okay, what about you, Shrutika, Sandeep, Bhavin? Okay, so I would suggest Sandeep, Akhil, please learn about some part of DBMS. So there's a concept of asset properties where you have to make sure that your database is atomic, it is consistent, it is integrated, and it supports durability. So to achieve that, we have to follow transactions. Okay, so what is transaction? Let's say if I transfer the money to your account, Sandeep, in that case, if something goes wrong in between, let's say the amount is deducted from my account and there was some issue in between and the amount is not reflected in your account, so there's something wrong, right? So I should get my money back. If I'm not getting my money back, I will not do the transaction online again. So what they should do is they should roll back. So either complete the whole transaction or roll back. Don't do half stuff. Make sense, Sandeep and Akhil? So that means you can only store the data only when you are starting the transaction and then you are completing the transaction. Now, how do we do that? We have to say session dot begin transaction, and after saving, we have to say session dot transaction. So we'll say get transaction. Oh, not this one. Get transaction dot commit. So by saying commit, you're committing the statements. And if I run this code now, I just hope the database is there and schema is complete and everything is done. Let's go back to our database. Give me the data finally. Can you see that? We got 180 and Navin. Yay! And if you observed, I have not returned any SQL query. I'm simply saying save. It's that awesome. I don't know how many of you feel it's awesome.
So you have to do the commit, right? Then only it get.
Yes, if you don't do this commit, then it will not reflect in database.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey Naveen,
Yes.
you mentioned rollback and commit,
Yes.
right? If
Yes.
something goes wrong without rollback, what would happen? You won't save it.
Then your database will not be consistent or
Okay.
integrated.
Okay. No, what I meant is like I didn't see any rollback on your code, right?
No, it will
But I just saw
it will
clean.
happen automatically.
Oh, it does. Okay.
If you
Okay,
don't do commit, it will be done automatically.
Oh, okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay. It's awesome, right, everyone? Hibernate. This is just a start of Hibernate, okay? There's something more which is coming on the way.
Hello.
Yes, Akhil.
So usually section object will different for different browsers, right?
So I didn't get you. This is?
Here, yeah, section object.
Yes, session object.
So it will different for different browsers, right?
It will be different for different.
Browsers.
Oh no, this is different. This session is not the servlet sessions, okay? That is the
Okay.
web browser session. This is the database connections.
Okay.
So this is a session object between your DAO layer and database.
Oh,
Okay, this has nothing to do with the browser things because anyway we are making the Koja application which is running on the console. So these are two different things.
so console application means just we download the.
No, console application means when you use your command prompt, the terminal, the software which works on one machine, also called as standalone softwares. So in standalone softwares we have two. We have GUI and then we have the command line. So console basically means command line projects. Because from last 10 sessions we are working with web applications, right? Websites. So that is web applications. This is console applications. And we can also use Hibernate in console application. Again, we'll see that, sorry, in web application, that we'll see later. Okay, Akhil? Okay, anyone, any questions here with this thing?
Yeah, I have that question that regarding the JPA.
Yes.
That Ajo is the part of JPA.
Azure is a
Annotation.
concept, okay? Azure, yeah, this annotation is a part of JPA.
Okay.
It's also
So
there in
if you
Hibernate.
do,
If you can see control space, it's also there in Hibernate. But why we are selecting JPA is because let's say in future your project manager says, hey, we want to move from Hibernate to maybe top link. Then you don't have to change this code because JPA is everywhere. So all these implementations share the same JPA concept.
okay, and it's that through JPA we can create the database the table directly into database, right?
No, that is done with the help of
But
Hibernate.
okay, but how it configure that? How it will decide the size of that particular field?
Perfect, and that is what we are going to see tomorrow.
Okay.
There are lots of questions to answer, okay? For I mean, the size of the table, then what is happening behind the scene? Are we really getting a SQL query? Because see, we are not writing any SQL query, and your database only work with SQL. So what is happening behind the scene? That is something we're going to talk about this tomorrow,
Okay.
or not tomorrow, in the next session, which is on Wednesday.
Okay. Tomorrow is
No, we have a session
we don't
directly
have
on.
class?
No, we will be having sessions alternate days. So it is Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So that's it then. See you on Wednesday. And do watch the video. Yes, Akhil.
Yeah, I have a problem with my code. Can you check it out?
Which code? The other subject code?
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. So otherwise, everyone else, you can. I mean, the session is over. Good night. See you on Wednesday. And Akhil, you can stay here. So Akhil, can you share your screen? Yeah. Good night, everyone. And Bhavin, let me know your feedback. How was the session for you? So you can mail me the feedback or Anything will do. Oh, this is very simple. In the second servlet, I guess you are using do post. Do get G capital, G capital, do get G capital. Save. And what else? Oh, now you cannot say throws exception there. You have to say throw servlet exception. Say control space. Servlet exception. Comma IO exception. Okay. Yeah, use try catch there. Just say equal to null. So at line number 20. Okay. That will do. Okay. Refresh this once again. Go back, go back. Refresh and run. Okay, null pointer exception. Line number 34. Go to line number 34. So you are getting an exception there. Go to console here. Next to your, yeah, there. So you're getting error there. Go up. Null pointer exception. Go up, go up. There's something wrong with the database. Go on, go on. Go up, go up. Okay, so there's something wrong with your username and password.
So how do you check that one?
You're using MySQL, right?
Yes.
And the password is?
0.
Okay, just go to your DAO layer.
Down layer.
This is not the first code which you're typing, right? Before this also you have written some JDBC code?
No, this is my first code.
Oh, this is your first code. Okay. Go down. So your date. Oh, remove that apple there from the connection string after Mario.
Okay.
Remove that apple. Even the slash. Yeah. Now save. Go back, refresh, and then submit. Oh, again, go to console. Just go down, just go down. Down, 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 down. More. Down, 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 down. Yeah, hold here. Okay, go down. Okay, open your workbench.
Workbench.
No, no, not workspace. Workbench, workbench. MySQL workbench.
Nice.